What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you live here from the Cosmodrome, and we got a couple things to talk about today. Anyways, guys, I wanted to do a kind of a commentary series on ways that the game Destiny could actually be improved. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of things. It's a great game overall, but a lot of us feel that it's not what was kind of promised way back when it was first advertised. And there's just a lot of things I feel could be better about the game. But I'm not going to try to criticize too much. I'm just going to kind of offer some helpful suggestions and some solutions. You guys may agree with it, you may not, but just kind of wanted to throw some thoughts out there. And the first episode I decided, since it's kind of a hot topic this week, is wanted to talk about Xur. As you guys know, he's the agent of the Nine. He shows up every week on Fridays, and he leaves on early Sunday morning, late Saturday night for those night owls. But he always brings some exotics. He always brings some hope and some disappointment, and it just depends on, what you're looking for and what he's got each week. And recently he's had a couple rough weeks in a row where he hasn't had a lot of good gear. He's been bringing a lot of the DLC gear. And kind of just wanted to talk about ways that maybe Xur could be improved a little bit, because a lot of people are, some people like Xur, some people hate Xur. I guess it just depends. And, I know there's a lot of hardcore players and some people on the forums who think Xur is, they call him welfare because he's a way for people to get exotics easily, which I think is kind of silly. Not all of us have all day to play Destiny and all week to play Destiny, and some of us have terrible RNG drops. So, in my opinion, if you're playing the weekly strikes, if you're playing the nightfalls, if you're actually going out there and you're doing the actual game activities that award you strange coins, then why shouldn't you be able to spend those and buy exotics with them? I understand both sides to it, but I think people just get a little too heated about it, and it's a little ridiculous. But anyways, so what I was thinking was I'd go ahead and stop babbling here and actually talk about what I wanted to talk about was Xur. Currently he brings usually an armor piece for each class, an exotic, and then sometimes he'll have an exotic engram. Other times he won't. He usually has an exotic shard, which you now need to upgrade your exotics, and he'll usually have an exotic weapon. And he also carries some ammo synthesis, or he'll have some telemetries you can use to level up your certain weapons faster. And then he's always got a couple of Sparrow upgrades. If you have a rare Sparrow you purchased from Vanguard or Crucible, you can actually upgrade it to a legendary. So that's kind of his current thing each week. He hasn't been bringing the heavy ammo synthesis lately, and I think that's what's really irritating a lot of people, because the raid is out and everybody needs their heavy ammo. And I've got my own opinions on why that is. I'm going to try not to get into that this video. I'll save that for another one. But let's get into how I think Xur could be improved. First of all, I think Xur needs to actually be around for the entire weekend, as he currently is now, and I'm going to use Eastern time because that's where I live in the United States. He shows up at 4 a.m. Eastern on Friday morning, and he leaves at 4 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. I really wish they would extend that to 4 a.m. Monday so that he's actually here for the full weekend. Just because a lot of players, myself sometimes included, we don't have time on Saturday due to, family engagements or work or other things. And if we're just a casual player or someone who doesn't play the game a lot on the weekends, sometimes we don't get a chance to really take advantage of Xur if he's here and he actually has some gear that we like. So I think if you actually let him be around all day Sunday, he'd be more available for players, and that would be a better thing to do with him. So have him be around for the actual full weekend instead of just, really Friday and then Saturday for most of the day, because he's not there on Sundays. He's just not. And I think it would be more beneficial if he was around for the full weekend. So that's the first thing I would do with Xur. I would make him more available to some of the players who can't actually play all weekend and who don't actually have, a lot of time. So that's number one. Number two, I think obviously they need to change up his inventory a little bit, change up what he sells, add some different things, maybe take some things away. Personally, I'm going to start with just more variety. And the first thing I would like to see Xur have would be actual sparrows and ships and things like that, shaders, exotic shaders. there's all kinds of different stuff that they could do. Now, unfortunately, this would require Bungie to make some in-game changes and have to add some designs and other things in the game, so the likelihood of that happening is, I'm not sure what that would actually be. But instead of having Xur sell, the Emerald Coil or the Stealth Drive or these silly, 23 strange coin upgrades for your Blue Sparrow, which, to be honest, don't really do anything, because Sparrows in the current game are just a way to get around the planets. There's no reason for them to have durability or speed or upgrades or any of that, because you don't actually use them for anything. I mean, you might get to a strike, 5 seconds faster. I know some people like to just get on their Sparrow and run through the whole parts of the strike. You don't have to actually kill enemies and just skip it all, so maybe you'll get through that a little bit quicker. But in all honesty, Sparrows are pretty much just a cosmetic item in the game. So instead of having, an upgrade where you have to spend 175 marks, I think it is, to buy one from either Vanguard or Crucible, and then another 23 strange coins to upgrade it to Legendary, why not just have Xur offer the actual Sparrow, or an actual ship, or just something kind of new and unique that you might actually want to spend your coins on, if he's not selling an exotic you want that week. But again, that may require them to put some different different designs in the game and do something with that. And, I think that would be a good idea. My other idea for Xur would be to have him be an exchange, sort of, the way the Crucible and the Vanguard Quartermasters work, where you can trade in, marks for materials. You used to be able to trade in materials from marks. I'd like to see Xur have a similar system, but kind of different. I would have him, since he's only around during the week for a couple days, have him do Ascendant Energy, Ascendant Materials, things like that, that you need to upgrade your Legendary gear. Because let's be honest, sometimes, one of the things that keeps me playing the game is all the different weapons I can get, like with the Legendaries, even though I don't think there's a good variety with that, and that's going to be something I'll touch on here in a minute. I love to get, as I call them, new toys and just, run around like today. I'm using the Devil You Don't, which is a drop I got from the Cryptarch. It's got Field Scout on it, so unlike the 5-round version, it's got 13 rounds, and it's actually a pretty fun hand cannon to use. I know a lot of people bash on it because the 5-round version is really not very good because it's, such a low magazine size. But with this one, it's a lot of fun to play around, and I'm upgrading it, and I've got a couple other legendary weapons I'm upgrading. Well, I don't get to play 7 or 8 hours a day, so I just don't have a good way of, getting, the Ascendant Energies or the Ascendant Shards for my armor sometimes and getting everything upgraded. So I think it would be cool if Xur had some way where you could exchange, you could turn in your strange coins, maybe you could buy the Ascendant materials, or, I wouldn't go as far as put the raid materials in there because Eris is already available for that. But it would be kind of neat for him to have that option. Make it a little bit easier for some of us, casual players who don't have all day to grind and get other legendary gear and break it down for shards. So I think that's another option, something they could do, and obviously, they could streamline it however they like, and, so people wouldn't take advantage of it and abuse it. Maybe you could put a limit on it, a cap as to how many you could purchase. Maybe you can only buy 12 or 18 or 6 or something, I don't know. My other idea is, instead of actually having exotic armor in weapons each week, I would personally rather see him have engrams for each, have an exotic weapon engram, have an exotic helmet engram, and have all those items available each week, but have a restriction on it where you can only purchase, let's say you can just buy one with, 23 strange coins, you can buy an exotic engram. And then, if you have 23 motes of light, you can buy an exotic engram, and that might be your max. You can buy 2 a week, but have it be guaranteed for the class that you're playing. So if you buy it on your Titan, it's going to be a Titan exotic. If you buy it on your Warlock, it's going to be a Warlock exotic. That way people aren't getting upset where they take it to the Cryptarch and decode it, and it's for a class they don't play. And again, I would say set a restriction on this so you can only buy 1 or 2 a week, but that would be, I think, kind of a better way for people to actually get the exotics they're looking for. And of course, it would be completely random, but you'd be able to get just about any gun in the game, and that would be kind of cool. I think so anyways. Instead of just having Xur get kind of stuck on the same pattern he is every week, where sometimes he'll bring the same item 3 or 4 times in a row. I mean, how many times did we see Sunbreakers as Warlocks early on in the game? And then recently here, he's kind of doing the same thing with the Starfire Protocol and some of the other new Dark Below DLC exotics. It just seems like he has the same things all the time, and if we want to add a little variety to that, maybe we could just, like I said, make him have just all engrams and, put a limit on it. so people aren't, buying a whole bunch and saving up, all their stuff and just buying like 1,000,000 engrams and getting all the exotics in 1 week. Just an idea, just throwing that out there. Like I said, you can buy one with motes, one with coins, just to make that currency a little bit more usable. The other thing, and this is, I think, where they could take something from the Iron Banner and actually bring it to Xur. The Iron Banner, to me, is getting a little stagnant, but it does have one of the cooler options I think exists in the game, and that's the ability to re-roll any of your Iron Banner legendary weapons that you've acquired playing in the Iron Banner or purchased after you reached rank 4 or rank 5 with the Iron Banner. I think it would be awesome if they would let Xur have some kind of feature where you could re-roll your exotics or your legendary weapons. And basically what you'd be able to do is, you go to him, pay him like 5 strange coins or, 5 motes of light or whatever you want to make it. And you can actually re-roll your legendary, re-roll your exotic. Now the exotics would keep their same, their main perks like Icebreaker, it would keep its Icebreaker perk. The same thing with Invective, things like that. They would all keep their normal perks, but the rest of them, the ones that, are randomized on other weapons, you'd be able to randomize those. So it would create more variety in guns, more variety in gear. You could do the same thing for the armor. And it would just be a way for us to all be a little bit different in the game. Because right now I think, we're all using the same gun. We're all using the same weapons. We're all using the same gear. We all look the same. Take away the shader and we all pretty much look the same at in-game. And even then, a lot of people use, Thunder Devil or God of War. They don't branch out and use too many different shaders. So, I think that's one thing they could do with Xur. Give him the ability to re-roll your weapons. I think that'd be a lot of fun. A neat little thing you could do there. And you could just, I know it's going to be a lottery system still, but you could just sit there and do it until you get the perk set you want on your weapon. And I think that would make more of the weapons viable in the game. Cause people to use a little bit more variety in weaponry. Because let's be honest, you go in the Crucible and even in PvE, and people are using like the same 3 or 4 guns. Because a lot of the weapons just, in their current form from the vendor, they're just not very good. And they don't have good perk sets. Well, I think that would, change a lot of it. And just make a lot of the weapons more viable to use in the game. So that's just another way I think you'd be able, to get Xur. Have him just be a better vendor and, a better experience for everybody in the game. And now getting on to the issue with the heavy ammo synthesis. I'd like to see Xur just sell all the ammo synth. Every week, just have him have it. There's no reason he shouldn't, And that would make things easier for a lot of people. Also have him sell all the telemetries each week, not just 2 or 3. Let him have, if people want to upgrade their weapons, let them upgrade their weapons. Don't restrict us with another kind of a block, kind of wall to make us have to grind a little bit more. If we get a new hand cannon or a new pulse rifle or something like that, then let us be able to have the ability to purchase that telemetry and use it to level up that new weapon we got. We're going to get more enjoyment out of the game. We're going to keep playing the game, which is, what Bungie wants. So I think that's another idea they could do. Have him just have all the telemetries each week and have him have all the ammo synthesis each week, and then people are happy. He's only there for 2 or 3 days, so it's not a big deal, at least not to me. And let's see, what else did we want to talk about here? Oh, this is one of the bigger ones I was hinting at earlier, and this is the one that would require Bungie to do a lot of updating to the game. And I think there should be a system where you can upgrade your rare weapons into legendary weapons. And Xur would be the perfect person to have that. For a couple of strange coins, you could buy like a blueprint from him, or maybe a quest that you'd have to go get an item where you could update, one of your rare guns and you could make it a legendary gun. I think that would be really awesome. And one of the reasons for that is, if you guys play a lot of the ROC or the Rock Strikes or play a lot of Crucible, you'll notice there are a lot of rare quality guns and armor that drop. More so than the legendary. To me it seems like with the legendary weapons and with the exotic weapons, there's just such a small number of them. And that's another reason that a lot of us look the same in the game. We just don't have a lot of variety. But, and you're playing those Rock Strikes, there's a ton of rare guns that drop that have really neat paint jobs, really neat designs, really good perk setups, nice scopes, just really aesthetically pleasing looking weapons. Same thing with the armor. There's a lot of neat armor that drops. And it just seems like they've spent a lot of time, on the designs of all the rare gear, which really makes no sense because once you hit level 20, you're trying to get that legendary gear. And legendary gear, for the most part, just seems to be, pretty bland and not a lot of variety to it. So I would rather see them take some of those rare weapons and allow us to upgrade them to legendary status. So again, that would be a pretty major, upgrade and a major game-changing thing they would have to do. But I think it would be worth it. I think it would make the game have a lot more longevity, and you're giving people a lot more loot and different ways to acquire that loot. And just overall, I think that would be a really cool idea. Let me know if you got what you guys think about that. I think that would be really neat. But again, that's something that Bungie would, have to put a lot of work into the game, and I don't know if they'd be willing to do that for us. Let's see, exotic shaders. Yeah, exotic shaders I think would be really, give us a shader. Like, it drives me crazy on my Titan that I've got the Armentarium, and it's just always like this green camouflage color. It doesn't matter what shader I use, the exotic stays the same color. And I think on my Hunter I had the Don't Touch Me gloves, and they're always blue and like the silver. They never, even so if you're wearing like a green shader, your arms are like blue. So I think there need to be some exotic shaders in the game where they actually will change the color of those exotic items we have, and that way we can all match. I think that would be really nice. So anyways, that's really all I can think of right now in terms of how we can improve Xur. And I think, one of the problems it boils down to, something I'm going to cover in another episode of how to improve Destiny, is just the fact that there's just not enough exotics in the game, I don't think. The Dark Below DLC's only been out for about a month now, actually a little bit longer than a month, and people, they have all the items, they've got all the exotics, they've got all the new stuff. It's just there's not enough of the rare items, the exotic items. There's a ton of blue, like blue gear and green gear. One of the things that makes level progression in the game from 1 to 20 so fun is you get to use a lot of different varieties and items. And I think they spent a lot of time on that, but for some reason they seem to just leave out the exotics. There's just not enough of them in the game. And from a casual versus a hardcore player perspective, I see a lot of the more hardcore players are the ones that are kind of upset that Xur, is not bringing these cool items every week. The casual players, which I consider myself somewhere in the middle, because, I think I play a lot more. I play probably too much to be considered a casual player, but for me, I have terrible luck with the loot drops in the game. I don't have very good RNG at all. I've played almost 200 strikes on my Titan, and just recently in the last 20 or so, I managed to get 2 exotic drops. I got Hard Light and I got Surus Regime, but up until that point, I'd played almost 180 strikes before I saw an exotic drop for me. And most of the time, it's just, blue stuff that drops, blue engrams, blue gear, and I can count the number of legendary engrams I've had drop in this game for me since launch on one hand. And I'm not even joking. It's just I hardly ever get anything. When I get a Cryptarch package, I don't get purples. I only get blues. When I get a package from from the faction, I always get like a shard and a commendation. I see people get like 3 armor pieces or a weapon or all this other stuff. I have horrible RNG with this game. So for me, I like Xur because he gives me an opportunity to actually get some of the gear I would like to have, because I'm not going to be able to play all these Nightfalls and do the raid all the time and all this other stuff. So from my perspective, I like Xur for that reason. I think he's good for players like me who maybe don't have the best luck. And, if we can actually go into the game and do the weekly strikes and all that stuff each week, and we can actually get those strange coins, then I think, we should be able to have access to that and be able to purchase, those items from Xur. And then, like I was saying, from a more hardcore player perspective, I see a lot of the guys, there's the guys on YouTube watching the gameplay and all that other stuff, and they've got 4 or 5 copies of every single exotic already. There's people with 3 Yalahorns and 5 Surus Regimes and all this other stuff, when people like me would just be happy to get one of those. And so I can understand that. You're playing the game a lot. You're playing the game a lot more than I can, and you're going to have a better opportunity to get those items. But I can see where the frustration comes in when Xur comes and he's got the same stuff again, or the same thing he's had for 3 weeks in a row. So I think that's another thing where they just need to add more, have more exotics in the game, just do a better job. Maybe make them harder to get. Maybe Xur shouldn't sell exotics at all. Maybe he should just have he could have some legendary weapons. Maybe exotics, should be special, because in the current state of the game, they don't really feel special. It's like everybody's got a lot of the exotics. Even me, I don't play a whole lot, and I've got quite a few of them. So I definitely think that's one thing, and that's, I'm rambling now. I'm getting into another aspect of game improvement, not really, kind of relates to Xur, but it's not, It's not the same thing as Xur. So anyways, guys, I am rambling on here, just talking in circles now. So I'll save the rest of this for another commentary. And I hope you guys have found this somewhat informative. I'd like to hear your thoughts. What you guys think. Let me know in the comments what you think about Xur. If you like Xur, if you use Xur, if you think he needs to just be taken out of the game completely. Just let me know what you think. Anyways, guys, I'm going to jump off here before I continue to babble like an idiot. So again, I hope you found this video informative and exciting. And thanks for lending me your ears. Thanks for stopping by. And I will see you guys again next time.